That's it. We are live. It is Friday, the 20th of July, 2018. So far with us today, we have Flat Earth Dude and we have Martin Kenny. Hey.
Hey,
Hello.
Karen.
Hello.
Hey, Kenny. Hey, Kenny.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
You're Flat Earth Universe, right?
Yes, that's my
That's
YouTube
your
channel,
channel.
Flat Earth Universe.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just on there looking around. I'm not too familiar with your work, but looks really, really good. Do you do all your own editing of videos and stuff?
Yes, I do.
That looks really
most
good.
of it, at least. Yeah. Thank you.
That's a lot of work, man. Oh, I don't have to tell you.
Well, it's my full-time job. You know, I consider myself a full-time researcher.
Oh
So
my.
I've got a lot of time to do it.
Oh, great.
Well, that's good then.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. Well, Kenny, how long have you been a flat earther for then?
Since August 2016. So
That's
almost exactly 2 years.
Yeah. Me the same. I was
Yeah.
January 2016, you know, when it hit me.
Yep. How long did it take you from finding it to the penny dropping? How long was that process for you?
Well, a few weeks, well, a couple of months before, a friend of mine wanted to show me or saw something, and I thought, oh no, not something else after 9/11, because I spent a long time on that. And then I watched this first video, and I thought, oh my goodness, it was obvious.
Yeah.
Hey, there's Astral. So just before we get going, Astral Thief.
Hello there,
Kenny.
everybody.
Two Kennys.
Good afternoon.
Oh, how you doing, man?
Oh, hi, Kenny.
Are we all good?
Astral, how you doing, man?
Cool, I'm cool. I'm just out for a little wander, but I'm back on my little mobile device now, so it's all nice. So carry on.
You sound good.
Yeah, I don't know what, a lot of people woke up in 2016, which is a bit strange, isn't it? And I'm not saying there hasn't been a wake up since, but I don't think it was quite as big as 2016.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think 2016 was like the mass awakening for Flat Earth, for sure.
Oh, no question.
Was it instant for you then? Was it like something's like ding, penny drop, whoa?
Yeah, no, I I came across it by mistake, completely random, like just on the internet randomly. A video pops up, your suggestions, and it was Dave Murphy's Macedonian video interview, and I saw it and I chuckled and laughed like most people, and just went, "Oh, this is is this for real?" So I thought, well, let me have a look and just have a laugh, and see what craziness is on the internet. And within 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, I wasn't laughing anymore. My laugh had been turned upside down. I was listening and in disbelief because it just made sense. And
Right.
I went down the rabbit hole, and within 3-4 days, it was obvious to me.
Yeah, I wish more people could wake up that quick.
I think my journey was like Kenny's, just like that, and then you spend ages watching everything you can to sort of say, it's something gone, something prove it's not, and everything you watch, even if you have to read between the lines, you could just see it. You just think, oh my god, it really is, it, and please, it's not that you think it,
Absolutely. Yeah, my awakening is kind of, I see it more as deeply a spiritual thing, because at the time I was going through a really bad patch in my life. I was super depressed.
Right.
I was looking for the meaning of life. I just was not I was in a very dark place at the time. I'd left my job. I walked out of my job. I had a small business. I folded the business because it wasn't doing well. So I was in the gutter, literally. And I was just looking for anything. Just, I don't know. I was just lost. So when that came up, the whole flat earth thing, it was almost like a wake up moment. Like, wow, okay, right. am I meant to find this at this point in my life? So that whole transformation for me, that whole awakening was extremely quick and extremely tumultuous and violent, spiritually, that is, because I became a vegan that same week. So I found veganism, flat earth, and everything else under the sun sort of just dropped on me in that 1 week. It was all so intense.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Can I just say our Patricia's joined us. Hi, Patricia.
Hi, darling.
Hey, Patricia.
Patricia. Oh. Sometimes it takes her a little while. Maybe she just come and say hello when she can. But anyway, she's joined the hangout. Yeah, just before we went live, we were sort of talking about that. Like you said that you were in this place and, you know, trauma. Do you want to carry on talking a bit more about that? Because I just thought that was, you put it in such a good way about what's happening really around us right now.
Yeah, like when I first woke up, you know, looking back now over the last 2 years, I can almost see the cycle that I've gone through as a person, emotionally and psychologically. Never mind the spiritual side, but the emotional and psychological side. Because, you know, finding the flat earth and waking up to this is really traumatic. It's an extremely traumatic thing. I think we underestimate how traumatic it is.
Right.
And naturally, the first thing that happens, and I think this happens to everyone, is you're angry. That was the first emotion I remember feeling, anger. I was infuriated. Like, who's doing this? Who's lying to us? Why are they lying? And how long has this been going on for? So I was extremely angry. So I went on social media, on Facebook. I was a militant flat earther. You know, I was, you know, pretty much I was out to preach the word. Like, you know, we need to wake everyone up and we need to fix this now. That was my mentality, you know, right now, not tomorrow. You know, this needs to be sorted out now. So, of course, I went online and I just attacked anyone. Not attacked, but I went into combat with anyone. You know, if you're a globe earther and you want to challenge me, let's have it. Let's have it, because, you know, I'm a soldier of truth now. And, you know, that went on for about 6 months, I think, where literally every day, 24/7, all I was doing is fighting with people, you know.
Right. That's not healthy.
Yeah, trying to argue the flat earth point back and forth. You know, the usual, you know, threads of 230 comments.
Right.
Yeah, it was just, wow, it was something else. But then after 6 months, something happened. You know, I sort of grew out of that. I took a step back and thought, hang on a minute, I can't keep doing this. This is crazy. I'm alienating myself. Well, I had already, from my family, from my friends. People thought I was crazy. Not because of what I was saying, also because of how I was behaving, my behavior as well. You know, I was so aggressive about it, but I was aggressive because I was angry, and it was righteous anger. So, but people outside don't see that. They just see this crazy person who's just attacking anyone and calling people flattards and idiots and brainwashed, and you're asleep, you're sheep. That's all I was doing. So, you know, it was, yeah, looking back, it was crazy. I was crazy. I have to admit, I was crazy. Yeah, but I grew out of that. And I think waking up now are probably going through a similar thing right now. They're going through their crazy period now.
Right.
Unfortunately, a lot of us haven't grown out of that crazy period. We're still in it.
Right.
So we're 2 years into it, and we're still doing the same things we were doing 2 years ago, fighting and arguing and attacking and not going deeper and not saying, well, what's the next step from this? And the next step is trying to understand and saying, okay, right, now that we know that this has happened to us, right, let's find out who's doing this. And once you know who, then you ask, well, why are they doing this? And then how are they doing this? And the big and last question is purpose. Why? Why has this happened to us? Why? Where is it going? What's the purpose of this? Is there a reason why we've been lied to.
There's two
is
questions
reason,
on the why. You got, why are they doing this
Yep.
to us? And we're also, why can't more people see it? Why we got fooled, you know? And it's so there's, why would they do this to us? And you know, why aren't more people seeing it? Why aren't more people seeing it? My goodness, that is like my biggest question.
Absolutely.
Anyway, go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. And what's even more confusing is once I became a flat earther, and I'm sure you can all relate to this, my assumption was anyone who wakes up to flat earth is now going to be family. We're now going to be family because we have one thing in common. We all know that we've been lied to. We all know that there are forces in this world that are not good forces, and we're on the good team. We're the good guys. So naturally, you think everyone is on the same wavelength as you. And then once you start meeting certain people, once you start speaking to certain people, you realize that actually, even within the flat earth, you're all so different. Some are coming from a religious standpoint. Some are coming from a spiritual standpoint. Some are purely scientific. So now there's division within that. So I found myself saying to people who didn't share my beliefs, yes, the earth is flat, but you're wrong about that. You're wrong about your religion, or you're wrong about this. And they're saying, no, you're wrong. So now we're arguing and fighting amongst ourselves. And it just creates so much confusion and chaos.
So your first conspiracy was flat earth, or did you look into like other things before that?
Prior to that, I was heavily into the ancient alien stuff, the Anunnaki, Sumerian texts, Zechariah Sitchin, ancient astronauts. So that's mainly what I was into, and I was well into that. And it just sort of resonated with me, that whole ancient aliens thing. You know, who built the pyramids, all the megaliths, where did they come from? We must have been visited by aliens or extraterrestrials at some point. And then obviously the flat earth comes along, and it sort of confuses that whole thing. Back to the drawing board, I guess. Yeah.
Well, think of all those people that loved Star Trek and, you know, like whatever it was that they were into in space, and then all of it, it doesn't mean the same once you know that about flat earth.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was weird for me because when I found flat earth, my instinctive reaction was to turn back to the Bible, because I grew up a Christian, and then when I left home, I left Christianity and went into science. I was like, this Christian stuff doesn't make sense, but science makes a lot of sense. Well, it did at the time. And then I find flat earth, and of course all the biblical stuff that comes with it. I was like, oh my goodness, wow. So the Bible must be true, obviously. So I went back into religion, and then a few months into it, I found Santos Bonacci. And all of a sudden I found myself again confused. Oh my God, really? We're back to full circle.
On and on, doesn't it? And getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
Well, you know that we love Santos on this channel, and sometimes Santos does have hangouts with us.
No, I've got so much respect for Santos. I think of all the awakenings that I had, I think waking up to Santos Bonacci's work had the most impact on me, for sure. That's what drove me to want to look for deeper understanding. That was the next step for me. Because before that, all I was doing was fight for flat earth, wake up everyone to flat earth, without any real purpose to what I was doing or understanding, And then I found Santos, and I was like, wow, there's so much more to this. There's a much bigger picture than it's flat, there's a dome above us, and they're lying. There's so much more to this. So it almost became like flat earth became a secondary thing for me now. It was like, actually, flat earth is not as important. Flat earth is a stepping stone to something even much bigger. So Santos was a beautiful, finding Santos's work was a beautiful moment for me. It was.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hope he's listening. Oh no, he'll be asleep right now, but because it's they're whatever many hours ahead, 9 hours ahead of us, he'll be asleep. But that's very nicely put. So yes, Ben.
Yeah, and then that's sorry.
Oh, Sultan of Cemetery said that they think they can be special in space because they don't feel special here on Earth. I really like that. You know,
yeah.
We all felt. I think before Flat Earth, we all felt like we were just this little pebble on a giant beach, you know. And
speck of dust.
Once you get woken up to Flat Earth, you realize how special you are. It's amazing. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, and that word purpose, it gives you purpose. Once again, you have a reason for being, and I've come to realize that, you know, the biggest question I've always asked myself, even before, you know, from a young age, what's the meaning of life? I've always asked that question. Why are we here? What is the point? From the age of 12, I used to ask that question. I used to go to church, and I would always ask the pastor, what's the point? Why is God doing this? Why has God put us here? And I never ever got an answer that made any sense. You know, nothing made sense. But I'd like to think I found at least my meaning, and for me, it's the meaning of life is to experience, to learn, to grow, and to move on. You know, so we're all here to experience. Once you enter this world, you're experiencing something. You're experiencing smells and sights and colors and sounds. So you're experiencing something. No matter where you are on Earth, the moment you're inside the body, you're experiencing something. And from the day you're born, you start learning. You start learning how, you know, who you are, where you are, you know, about yourself, your body, your family, how to talk, how to walk. You're constantly learning till the day you die. You're always learning. What
the bit they've tried to do is stop us knowing who we are. The only thing is you're allowing everybody else to stop you knowing who you are. They don't want us to know who we are. They don't want us to talk to each other. They don't want us to come together. There's loads of things going on, but also we have to do it. You have to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, how will you believe or know anything?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Karen. And that's the trick, you see. If you want to control people, stop them from knowing who they are and where they are. Once you do that, they're lost. You know, we're all lost souls. If you don't know where you are and you don't know who you are or what you really are, you're a lost soul. And once you're a lost soul, then you will follow your sheep. You'll follow whoever does know the truth. And that's what they've done. So when people say, why does flat earth matter? Why does spirituality matter? Well, it matters because if you don't know, then you don't know who you are. You're lost. You're a lost soul, right? And if you're a lost soul, how can you know where you're going? There's no direction in your life. There's no purpose in your life. You will do whatever you're told to do because you have no purpose, because you don't know who you are. And that's why it's important.
Your purpose is to work for the corporation and go to work and pay your taxes.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's your purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah, dumb slave. Anyway.
Yeah. But the last bit of that meaning of life is growth. You know, we're always growing. So physically, from the day you're born, you start growing. You're growing. You become a toddler. You become a child, a teenager, an adult, an old person, and then you move on. You die. We call it dying. But actually, it's not dying. It's moving on. You move on to something else. So, you know, once I figured this all out, it was like, okay, right. Now that I've come to understand this, what does this mean for me, and what does this mean for everyone in the world? You know, what is the journey? Right? Where are we going? Where are we meant to be going? What are we meant to be learning? What are we meant to be experiencing? And that's where I am at the moment.
Very nicely put there, Martin. Kenny, sorry. Martin, where'd that come from? Kenny. I just want to say this bit that you also think that a lot of flat Earth is still in trauma, though. They just haven't, like, they can't handle it, or what? Because you put it really nicely before we went live.
Yeah. You know, like I said, you know, when you wake up to flat Earth, it's a traumatic experience waking up to the fact that your entire reality is a lie. It's extremely traumatic from a psychological point of view, which is why a lot of people reject it. No matter how much it makes sense, they do not want to believe it because it's traumatic. It's it shakes the core of your being. So it takes a very strong soul, first of all, to even admit that you've been lied to, and admit that you don't know where you are, and admit that the world is nothing like you thought it was. Just that step is an extremely brave step to make. But once you've made that step, dealing with it is even harder, dealing with that trauma. So a lot of us in the flat Earth community, we've not dealt with that trauma psychologically. And we're carrying all this pain and all this anger and all this aggression. And now that we find that, you know, people who are not in the flat Earth are not listening anymore, we're turning on one another, right? Because all the globies don't care. They're not engaging anymore. They're just saying, do you know what? Oh, I've heard of you flat earthers. I'm not even going to engage anymore. So those who are traumatized are now looking to attack anyone. So you always hurt the ones closest to you. So you attack flat earthers because they are the closest people to you. So I think a lot of people who are causing this division within the flat earth movement that we're seeing recently, everyone calling everyone a shill, attacking everyone, you know, pointing fingers, which is something I once did as well. You know, I'm not saying that as an outsider, I've been there myself. They're doing this because they're traumatized and they've not dealt with the trauma of this reality that they found. But most importantly, they've not found purpose. They've not found purpose. They're going round in loops. They're going round in circles. So they found flat Earth. They know that the Earth is flat, but beyond that, they don't know how to deal with it. Right? Where is this going? What is the point of it? Like, you know, they can't see light at the end of the tunnel. And it seems like even though flat Earth is growing, we're being censored now. As you can see on YouTube, censorship is happening. On Facebook, on YouTube, they're censoring flat Earth a lot more now. We're being silenced. So there's frustration.
Kenny, Lady Co-Pilot, they've sent her to a psychologist.
Who?
There's a pilot called Lady Co-Pilot. That's her name. Obviously, she's got a real name, but yeah. When she refused, she was talking about something, and then there was a sort of a talk on one of these flights, and then she refused to go back with the captain because of what he said, and then there was a complaint put in, and then they sent her to a psychologist for believing in flat Earth. Wow,
there you go. There you go. Yeah, and we're going to see more of this. We're going to see a lot more of this, and you know, and because this is happening, a lot of us in the flat Earth community can't understand it. We can't deal with it. We don't know. We don't know why it's happening. We don't know how to stop it. We don't know how to fix it. We're feeling helpless. And this is where the next step comes in, where you've now got to get into the esoteric side, the deeper understanding of reality, you know, dig deeper. And unless you do that, you're just going to be going around in circles in confusion. And this is where we are. So now there's a divide. There are those who are going deeper into the rabbit hole and saying, do you know what? I'm now going to dig deeper so I can try and deal with this personally. And there are those who are still stuck in that paradigm of, you know, I need to shout about this. I need to scream about this. I need to tell anyone I can see, without trying to really understand, you know, beyond that.
Do you think some of these people are attention seeking though?
Oh yeah. Yes, definitely. Attention seeking. You know, people have made money from it. So people have started channels. They've become very famous within this circle. They've become, you know, celebrities to some extent. They've obviously got patrons. They've got people who donate money. They make a living off it. So it's become their livelihood. So it's almost as if they need to protect that now. And if someone else comes in and is threatening that livelihood, you know, they've got to attack that person. They've got to, you know, they need to protect their position. So it's now become very political. This is what we're seeing in the flat Earth movement. So a lot of flat earth truthers, especially the bigger names, it's not so much about the truth anymore. It's now about the political landscape within the truth movement. Where do I stand politically? You know, am I a big name? Am I in the scene? Am I in the right place? Am I respected?
Ego stuff again.
Ego stuff. So basically, you're back in the system. The flat earth is becoming almost mainstream within the flat earth community itself, if you like.
Do you know, I think I had this feeling that, like you said, everybody gets into flat earth, but what it is they're only still living the globe life. They brought all the globe with them, everything in it.
Absolutely.
You know, like
absolutely.
Like you said at the very beginning, this is a spiritual thing for you. It is for me. It is for Kenny, for Patricia, Astral, many others, Mr. Fry, Russian vids. It goes on and on, but it isn't for everybody. But it is. We should be coming together on a conscious level and helping each other more.
Yep, absolutely. Very well put, Karen. Very well put.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, but you know, I'm just a bit gobsmacked myself that it's such an angry place, and you know, some people looking in on this in other countries, they can't believe how nasty the UK is.
Yeah, I mean, I've reached a stage of understanding, Karen. You know, I don't engage anymore. I don't take it personally. I almost feel sorry for them because these people are traumatized. They're in pain. They're clearly in pain. If you're attacking someone and you're angry and you're calling people this and calling people that, it's because you're in a dark place. You're not in a good place. You are struggling with some things. So I feel sorry for them and say, wow, you know, I hope you find your way. I hope you find some sort of peace and you find some sort of purpose. Because at the moment, you're not in a good place, mate. So I feel sorry for them. And not in a judgmental way, not in a I'm better than you way, just in a, you know, I recognize it for what it is.
They've forgotten what's more important, and now everything's been made personal when it's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got to somehow come together, otherwise people are just going to laugh at the flat earth community.
Yeah, and I think it's happening already.
And be stood on all the time, and occasionally, and even me yesterday, I had to make a point myself. But it's just like, you know, I said what I said. These other people can't wait to thrash names, and it's just ridiculous. It's like saying suddenly, I've had you on. Oh, and now I don't like Martin Kenny. Now I've got to tell him all that Martin Kenny. What is all that? You were there. You're here. If I've got to say something, say it now.
Well, that's
why you're here.
This is what Martin Kenny was saying, is that we got to rise above that. We have to go to the next level. We have to be. We can't let it take it personally. We can't let it get to us. And there is a calming thing that you have to have, calming presence. And if we stay calm, everything will be cool, man. If people are freaking out, you know, that just causes more people to freak out. So everybody be cool, man. That's what the dude says. So go ahead.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about that part of it. Just asking you were a speaker at the conference here in the UK. So what was that like then?
It was.
You're quite a shy person. Before you came on, you've done very well. You've spoken really well, but you said you're quite a shy person. So what was it like standing up there in front of all those people?
Yeah, you know, I'm not a very sociable person. I don't have a big circle of friends. So when I say shy, I mean, you know, I don't go to functions, and I think it's most truthers. You know, you get to a stage where you can't have conversations with normal people, so you almost become a recluse. You know, I can't go to a normal function because I can't do the small talk anymore.
And Pearson was just bringing that up in the chat there. She's having a hard time. A lot of us have a hard time. We go to like a party at our cousin's house, and it's like, gee, what am I going to talk to these people about? You know?
Yeah, and it becomes a lonely place for sure. And I've noticed recently. Sorry.
I used to be such a social butterfly myself. I have my own social club here. You know, I was going out and doing things and, you know, having parties with friends, theme parties, you know, and all that. And right now I don't want that. I don't really want to go to the pubs, meet the drunk people. You know, you just sort of feel like going out the same, do you, anyway?
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. And you know, I got a little bit worried actually a couple of weeks ago because for the last year, I've literally become a recluse, and I mean that in every sense of the word. I've not socialized at all with hardly anyone. Mainly because I've been so deep into my research. You know, I've spent 8 hours a day when I'm not working researching. And it got to a stage where I didn't realize that I had completely lost contact with the outside world, pretty much. And I went to a function a couple of weeks ago, and I was so awkward around people. It was so awkward. I was looking at people awkwardly. I must have just looked like a weird guy. Like, this guy is absolutely weird, because I wasn't used to being around people anymore. So when I was talking, I was nervous. I had no confidence. And I thought, oh my God, what's happening to me? And I realized that it's because I've had no contact with the outside world, with people outside my circle of understanding, I suppose. And that's what it's come down to. But going back to your question about the conference, Karen, it was interesting because how can I put it? There were a lot of people there. We're all flat earthers, but all of us were coming in from a different angle, like we're saying. You know, there were some who were coming from a religious background, some were coming from a spiritual background, some were coming in purely for the science. You know, I'm a flat earther and I focus on the science. Some were coming in with a square model, with a round model. You know, I had my cosmic egg thing. So there were all these different ideas and perceptions and viewpoints. It was just this big mix. Although we had one thing in common, the flat earth, we had many things that we did not have in common. We had more things that we didn't have in common. So it was a really sort of weird paradigm to be in. But it was awesome when you connected with someone who was on the same wavelength as you. That was really nice to connect with people. Yeah, that was amazing.
Isn't that cool? It's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I've been to a couple of flat earth meetings and it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
You sound a very sensitive person, Kenny.
Sorry?
I think you're a very sensitive person, aren't you? You've been thinking a lot. But...
Oh, I am. I'm a very deep thinker, and I always have been. As a child, people who know me, you know, always say I was very quiet. I was the type of kid. All the kids would be outside playing, and I would sit in the corner on my own, sort of reading a book or watching telly. Deep thinker, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah, it is what it is.
But you know, this back to this bit you were saying about going out. The thing is, if you go out, it's a globe life, globe football, globe politics, you know, globe shops, globe whatever. It's all globe adverts. Everything is set up for the globe. So that's one of the reasons that we don't go out the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, you know, the deeper down the rabbit hole, so to speak, you go, the more alienating the world becomes. So, you know, when you become a flat earther, when you're a flat earther and you're not religious and you're a vegan, right? The avenues become more and more narrow. The people that you can speak to are less and less. So if you're a flat earther and you're a meat eater and you're religious, there are many people within the flat earth movement that are in that space. Right? So you'll have many friends, many friends. Many people relate with you. But if you come out and then say, do you know what, guys, I'm now a vegan, all the meat eaters will say, well, we don't resonate with you anymore. We're not on the same page. We're not on the same wavelength. So all of a sudden, that list of friends drops off. Right? Because you right? And then you come along and you say, do you know that whole religious stuff? I don't think it's quite true. You know, I'm more into the spiritual stuff now. And all of a sudden, the group is even smaller now. Right?
Right.
And the more,
because we not know everything. Oh, sorry. I was just saying, we don't know everything right now, but what we do know is that we're not moving, and we're not a planet. And
yeah, absolutely.
The rest is we're always going to be different people. But like, I just don't get how it's all silly, isn't it? Because that's what I'm saying. That's the globe mentality, isn't it?
It is. It is. It is. It is. Yeah, but I think it's beyond the globe mentality. If we're looking at from a higher perspective, you know, there are cosmic, universal things that are happening, energies, ages, seasons. You know, there's a time and a place for everything.
Right.
So, you know, so once you know, I reached that stage of understanding, I don't judge anymore. I don't, you know, when I became a vegan, I did judge people that weren't vegans, and I looked down on them and said, well, you know, you're not a vegan, no, I'm a meat eater, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're not a flat earther, you globy, you're an idiot. Oh, you're religious. Oh, you idiot, you don't know the truth. And I did a lot of that because I didn't understand. I didn't have a fuller understanding of what's going on. But I think I've reached a stage where I kind of understand that, no, you know, there's a time and there's a place for everything. And this is a journey. And like any journey, there are some who are going to be ahead, there are some who are going to be behind, but ultimately we're all going in the same direction, and we're all going to get there eventually, wherever there is. You know, and we're all equal. There's no one who's better than anyone. There's no one who's higher than anyone. We're all equal, but we're just at different stages along that journey. That's all it is. So when I reached that understanding, you know, I stopped judging.
On a sort of psychological sort of thing, you've just hit something there. And it starts off when we're babies. You know, a baby thinks it's not okay, so it cries. It thinks you're okay. You pick it up, feed it. Then when that baby gets to maybe a year old, it gets to maybe it's having a brother or sister now, and it's falling over, and now it's getting told off a lot more. So, well, it doesn't feel okay, and it doesn't feel okay about you. And then the next stage is maybe by the age of 2, 3, that kid feels, well, I'm okay, but you're not okay. Now, those 3 stages is how most people live their life, the rest of their life, right? But where you should be is, I'm okay, you're okay. Your adult should be living in you and is what was working. But unfortunately, it's your parent or your child that runs your life, and people don't realize it. It should be, I'm okay, you're okay. I read this brilliant book years ago. I think her name's Yolanda Vanderbilt. She put life like a house. She said there's the basement, first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor. But in the basement, what is it like down there? It's cold, dark, dingy. No one knows where they're going. No one can see where they're going. Everybody's bumping into each other. It's cold, it's dark, etc. And most people live their life in the basement of life. When you get to the next few floors, you haven't maybe worked everything out, but now you know what the problems are, and now you're working them out. And of course, by the time you get to the attic, it's unconditional love. But nearly the whole of society lives in the basement. But now we understand why. Because of this subversion communism they put us in. Open air prison. But I just don't understand why. I don't know. Maybe that's it. A lot of people obviously don't know who they are.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, beautifully. It's you've hit the nail on the head there, Karen. And I like your examples and your analogies. Fantastic. Spot on.
Yeah, well, I can see your icon. It says oneness.
Yeah. Great. Yes. Did you create that?
Yeah, at the end of the day.
Beautiful.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's what it is. We're all one. And again, going back to seeing the bigger picture, I've also come to terms recently, I think in the last 3 months or so, I've come to terms with the fact, not idea, not theory, but the fact that there is genuinely a time and a place for everything and for everyone. So not everyone is meant to wake up to flat earth in this lifetime.
No.
There are people that are going to die denying it. Even if you took them into high Earth orbit and showed them the flat Earth, they would still deny it because it's not their time. There's nothing you will say or do to change their minds. There are people who will never become vegans, no matter what you say or do to them. It is not their time. It is not their place. Nothing will change that. So what's happening now is, there are certain people who are supposed to be waking up to certain things and supposed to discover certain things and supposed to find certain things and supposed to grow to a certain level in this lifetime at this time. Right? And it's all about knowing thyself. Know thyself. All the ancients always said that. Know thyself. Know who you are, where you are, and accept it. That is where you're meant to be. And not to judge other people. So when I teach whatever I teach, or when I share, not teach, when I share whatever I share, I'm not trying to convince people. All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to send a beacon out to the people on the same journey as me. So there's a select few people who are on the same journey as me at this time, at this place. And we need to find one another and we need to walk this journey together. The rest of the world doesn't matter. Everyone else in the world, they don't matter. Because if I try and engage with the rest of the world, I will go crazy. I will go mad because it's not their time. I might as well talk to the flowers and the trees.
Right.
And that's what I've come to reconcile and understand.
Listening to you, a lot of the reason you're here is because you decided not to be shut off and to stay open and realize there's just more, there's always more to learn. More. And the other thing I just wanted to say was flat earthers, right? The whole point about that was learning that you as an individual meant something, were something, are something, and it's individual. And that's great. But this whole flat earth thing for me was about the whole. And that's the bit a lot of people can't get to, is the whole. They're stuck it's all about when anything happens, the only thing they were ever thinking about was themselves. Whereas, I don't know, maybe it's because I've been a mother. I don't know what it is. I think about everyone.
Yeah, I think when you're a parent, obviously you see it way different than someone who might not be a parent. Not always, but I think the moment you become a parent, even outside flat Earth, your perception of life and how other people are in relation to you changes. So you're absolutely right. I think being a mother is probably why that resonates so much more with you. And you are right. It's meant to be about the all. And another interesting, someone said to me the other day, and this resonated, and I thought, wow, this is so true. Not in a judgmental way, again, but just an observation. Most of us in the flat Earth community are open-minded, but we're small-minded. Right?
Okay.
So a lot of people in the truth movement are open-minded, but small-minded. Those are two different things. So yes, they are willing to listen to other ideas and explore other ideas, but for whatever reasons, their minds cannot comprehend certain things beyond a certain point. Again, right time, right place. There are just some people, you'll speak to them and they'll even go, yeah, I get it, but do you know what? I just, it's not resonating, or it's too deep for me, or it doesn't make sense for me. So some people will listen to Santos and go, wow, I get it. Wow, this is amazing. Everyone needs to hear this. And another truther will listen to him and think, this guy's crazy. He's gone too far. He's gone way too far. He's lost it. So those are two different perceptions of the same person, but both are truthers, both are open-minded people, but perhaps one is not as small-minded as the other one, and not in a negative, derogatory way. It's just the way things are.
Also, can I add, it depends on what angle you're looking at it from. Your perspective of things is entirely different than my perspective of things, or than, Flat Earth Dude's perspective of things. We're all different, aren't we? So the way we look at it plays a big part in that.
Absolutely.
No question. No question.
Yeah, where you've got to on the journey, because like he's saying, you open it up. So we learned we've been completely lied to, but they stop there. Maybe because you want to know more, understand more, and do more, and other people don't.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And when I say small-minded, I don't mean there is one person with truth. So, for instance, I've got my perspectives and my theories and my ideas about, you know, this reality, where we are, you know, everything. So I'm not saying I'm correct and I've got all the answers. I'm not saying Santos is correct and has got all the answers. What I am saying is I've had a lot of people attack me and say, stop theorizing. Stop saying things that you can't prove. Stick to the science, stick to the Bible, stick to what we can prove on paper. So that's being small-minded and saying, well, no. There's something much bigger here. You know, there's the conscious side of reality. There's the metaphysical. There's intuition. There's spirituality. There are things that I cannot prove, but, you know, just because I can't prove it doesn't mean it can't be truth. It's transcendental. It's beyond the physical. So even if it's wrong, you know, we need to be able to embrace other people's ideas and embrace thinking outside the box, or thinking outside the books, or thinking outside the standard way of thinking. So when people, you know, I don't believe in the square earth, but you know what? I embrace it. So those who are preaching the square earth, do it. Fantastic. It's great. You might be wrong. You might be right. Right? We shouldn't be discouraging them. We shouldn't be saying, oh, it's, you know, you're wrong. It's not square. It's definitely a circle. Well, we don't know. So ideas are good. Theories are good. Theories are not a bad thing. But at least your theories must have some sort of foundation or factual basis. That's the difference. So the globe has got no factual foundation. So the theory is built on the globe. They fall straight away because there's no facts behind the theory.
It's ridiculous.
Is that a fair thing to say?
Isn't it? It's absolutely the globe. It's 260,000 miles an hour in 3 different directions, 1,000 miles an hour going anti-clockwise with the moon and all that. It's just going Mach 80. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think it does come in stages, because you've got that, right? And then for me, I never bothered really to go and look at any of the NASA stuff. You know, it's all there. Oh, yeah, we've been to the moon, all that, you know, whatever, space. And then when you start actually going to look at the videos, one of the first ones I found was a paused astronaut. There was 2 astronauts. One was paused and the other one was moving around. And how many people watched that and didn't see it? It's completely paused. So wasn't live. They weren't together. It's fake. It's CGI, the whole thing. And it made me realise that, you know, for them, they are up there, you know, we listen to Santos, you get a fair idea. It's just incredible.
Yeah, no, it is. But again, Karen, looking at the bigger picture, right? You know, when I got to a stage where I stepped outside all of this, outside the whole thing, and said, let me look at this whole situation objectively as I possibly can within my limited consciousness, and let me try and assess this whole situation. You know, there were certain things that I realized very quickly. The first thing is, many of us within the flat earth community, again, talking about that trauma, because we've been traumatized by what's happened to us, we've almost straight away, we become reactive. You know, there's this knee-jerk reaction to demonize and attack everything that is mainstream. NASA, government, all these elites and controllers. We demonize them. They're all liars. Everything that comes from them is a complete lie. Everything, don't believe anything they say. Don't believe anything you're shown. We're so reactive because we're angry. We're seeing red. We're seeing mist, which is exactly what they want. These people are not stupid. Remember, guys, these people are 20 steps ahead of us. Those of us waking up to flat earth, we are hundreds of steps behind these elite. They know exactly where this is going. They've orchestrated this flat earth awakening. Believe me, they put out the flat earth. They started this movement. 100%. Right? They own Google,
make all those that
YouTube, they own. Yeah, they're allowing us.
Woken up to make us feel even worse.
Well, I can only imagine, right? If it is all preordained, it's all, you know, planned and everything, we're going to start paying for it pretty much soon, you know. We're going to have a flat Earth license, you know. Have you paid your flatability, whatever?
The thing about the space thing, though, I just find it really incredible, is that you make a complete fake reality that people believe in. So you're taking their freedom away by making them believe in something that's not real. That just in that one thing with space, you know, that that's communism.
Well, that's Karen, and this is what I'm getting at, Karen. That, you know, I quickly realized that actually what we should do is not throw away the baby with the bathwater, which is what many of us do. So, for instance, I'm a flat earther, but I do believe in space. Right? Space is real. There is outer space. It's just not the way they have told us. So space, as far as I'm concerned, is not going to Mars, the luminary in the sky. Space is going to worlds beyond the Antarctic, the north or the south, right? So there are other lands beyond known perimeters. This is where outer space is. There are other civilized, extraterrestrial lands on Earth. So when they say we're going to space, I do believe they're going somewhere. I don't think they're just faking and lying to us completely. No, 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 no. There are space rockets. There are satellites. Yes, in high Earth orbit, in space, outer space, space outside known parameters on the Earth.
Sorry, Kenny, how do we get through the firmament? How do we get through the Van Allen radiation belts and all that stuff, you know? I'm not too keen on that idea.
He's not saying it could be thousands of miles away. It's maybe only a few hundred miles away, like they've said.
Absolutely.
But it's just
in high Earth orbit.
Can't go any higher than that. The rest is a lie.
Yep. Absolutely. So they give us half truths all the time. They give us half a truth, and those of us who wake up to the flat Earth, you know, we're discrediting everything, and actually what we're doing is we're shooting ourselves in the foot. So we're saying there's no such thing as outer space, it's all a lie. But lo and behold, if they decide to one day actually show us a satellite in high Earth orbit, it will kill the flat Earth dead. They'll say, well, there you go. You wanted to see? Here are the satellites. That's the end of it. We're buried. We're now, you know, we now look like idiots. So all the globies will say, well, flat earthers, what have you got to say? There they are. Right? So it's things like that. Things like outer space doesn't exist. So the Van Allen belts, which is a whole different story, they open and close over different periods of time. Right? So NASA clearly says we can't get past the Van Allen belts, which is the electromagnetic dome above our part of the Earth. But they're saying very soon they'll be able to get through there. And we've been seeing many strange things in the sky, particularly in Florida, near Goddard Space Station. I don't know if you guys have seen the what looks like some sort of, I don't know what it is. It looks like it's in water or something. A light going through water. There are quite a few videos going around, you know. But I think they're trying to get through the Van Allen belt. And when they do get there, and all of a sudden they show us live footage, actual live footage of lands they will call outer space, they might even call it Mars, and say, here we are, we've got a camera. How are flat earthers going to deal with that? Because all this time we've been saying there's a dome, there's nothing outside the dome. And now they're showing us live footage of extraterrestrial lands and possibly beings.
I just said, though, haven't I, that there was a paused astronaut. They said that was live, but it wasn't live. They weren't together. It was fake. They will fake everything. Otherwise, they'd have told us the truth by now.
But what I'm saying is, how will we know the difference? So if there is extra land outside the Antarctic, if there is, and if they're trying to get to these extraterrestrial lands beyond the dome, and they do get there, and all us flat earthers have been saying all along, there is nothing outside this known world, and they then show us that there is something, if we flat earthers carry on saying it's all fake and it's not fake, then who's wrong?
Mind you, they've already lied to us and told us that we've been to the moon and shown us footage from the moon, and they've actually shown us footage from Mars, and that's fake. So they've already.
This is what I'm saying. We've got to learn to discern the truth from the lie. Instead of throwing everything out and saying it's all fake, we need to step back and say, okay, where's the truth in the lie that they're telling us? Freemasons call that profanity. It's a profane truth. That's what the Freemasons call it. So they give you with one hand and they take with the other hand. They tell you a half truth to confuse you. So even when they do tell you the truth and you figure out that they're liars, you're not going to believe the truth because you've painted them as complete liars.
Yeah, we're a bit stuck like that, isn't it?
It's all mind games, psychological.
What do we believe anymore? Because we're told so many lies.
What do we believe? Right. So this is where the whole spiritual thing comes in, where you've now got to dig deep and go within yourself and start seeing things from within, spiritually, seeing the truth from within, seeking the God within you for answers, and not looking outward for answers. Because if we keep looking outward for answers, we're going to go round and round in circles. We'll argue forever about whether the flat earth is square or round, or what the dome is. Is there a dome? What are the stars? We will never figure these things out, not in this state of consciousness, not for another few thousand years at least. We're only at the beginning of this.
Yeah, because, you know, in the 1900s, we probably all believed in a flat earth, or that's what, you know, it never crossed our minds that we were some globe traveling thousands of miles an hour. But there's been like, through research on this channel, it seemed that you could find things still on the internet which go up to a certain date, like say 1990 something, then it stops. There's no flat earth, maybe until what, 2013, 14, 15. There was a section of time missing without any flat earth stuff in it. So we, you know, and they've had about we reckoned it was the 60s they turned us into a ball, you know, after the wars and ruining everybody else's infrastructure. And then, you know, daylight savings, tele vision, oil, petrol, all that, and then going to the moon. It all happened in the 60s.
Yeah. Well, Karen, if you look at the timeline, you know, it's very simple. All you've got to look at is right. If you look from 1900, right, we don't know. No one alive now knows the truth about what people believed in the 1900s, early 1900s, 1800s rather. All we know is what we read. What was written, what we're told, right? So everyone from the 1800s is dead. So we don't know. Is that a fair thing to say, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100% fair.
At the turn of the century, what happens? 1914 up to 1945, we have a world war, right? A war that the whole world is involved in. And during that war, many of the adults died, mainly the men, right?
Right.
They die. So along with that war, all the old information and knowledge died with most of the people who died then, naturally. So the young generation after the war, first of all, the last thing you want to be thinking about is what the shape of the earth is, because you're recovering from a war. You just want to feed your family. Yeah. So you don't care about if it's a globe or if it's flat. You're just trying to find food. So the books were rewritten, education was rewritten. There was a new school curriculum that went all around the world. Remember, at this time, the British Empire was still pretty much the dominant empire in most part of the world. So all the British colonies were taught the same syllabus, the same science, all in one go after World War II. Right?
Yep.
So all of a sudden, whatever we're taught during that time, the kids then will know no better, because there are no adults left to tell you any different, because most of them have died, or they don't care because they're not interested in education. I'm trying to feed my family. Right?
Yeah.
So that generation grows up from 1945, 45, 55. All of a sudden, 1955, 1960s, television comes in.
Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley, right? NASA comes in. at the same time. TV, NASA, all at the same time. Right? Daylight savings, the moon landings in the 60s. So all this happens within a space of 20 years. So the kids, the post-war kids who are now adults, right, are now living in this completely new reality that has been shaped over that 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes 100 years to completely rewrite history. That's it.
Right? So when they have kids, right, the game's over. That's it. Like, you can't even argue about whether it's a globe or if it's flat, because we've seen it on this brand new device called television. That is an amazing marvel of humanity. We've gone to the moon. We're proud of humanity. We've done these amazing things. So how can you even question the shape of the earth now?
Right.
Right? And there's no one alive from the 1800s who cares, at least even at that time, to even argue that, to be honest. They're too old or don't care, or how do you even argue it, because you're overwhelmed by the technology. So you can't even argue it anyway, because you're overwhelmed by this technology.
Well, even us as modern people, I would say, we're not allowed to question it either, because if we question it, then we'll get told, like, it is true. It is true. It's on TV. It has to be true. They don't lie on the news, you know. It's only the truth.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So now we've reached the stage where, you know, we've been so brainwashed and indoctrinated, and this thing started after World War II. This is when during the World War, the turn of the century. So the reality pre-1900, God knows what the reality was. We don't know. For all we know, there might have been electricity and computers in the 1800s. We don't know. We genuinely don't know.
There's a lot of evidence leading to that there was a lot of electricity.
Right?
1600s, 1700s. I don't know. Yeah. So we don't know for sure, but there's a lot of pictorial evidence that would suggest that.
Yep, free energy. I've seen a lot of those, a lot of that research, that there was free energy in the 1600s, free electricity, there's a lot of overwhelming evidence. So the reality that we've been told about history in the past.
Do you follow Martin Leakey? Do you follow Martin Leakey?
Yes.
He reckons basically since we've had the pyramids, we've had electricity and free energy and all that. You know, I mean, we know that the air is free energy, but they've been able to have lights and things for as long as those pyramids times.
Absolutely.
So it's further back. Yeah. It's like, but they've told us basically we lived in mud huts, and I was a bit shocked when I came across these pictures in the 1800s. And I know that slowly in the UK it's changing now. You know, not a lot of us don't have the poles outside our houses anymore. But there are still many places in the UK that have still got poles in the street with the wires on, electricity, wherever it is, telephone. I couldn't believe it. In 1800s, they've got them. And in fact, they were even bigger. And in fact, they've got these things that don't connect to anything. Like, they must be working off something, because there's row upon row of these things.
Absolutely.
You know, free energy thing or whatever it is. And you think, what? That just blew my mind, but it's even older than that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lady called New Earth, I think. She does a lot of megalithic research on all the megaliths that were the big pyramids and ancient ruins that were clearly cut using machines. Like the lathe work and the cutting is just so precise. It could only have been done by machines. And they're saying these are hundreds, if not thousands of years old.
Right.
So technically, you know, there must have been machines at some point, you know, stone cutting machines much more sophisticated than we have today, you know, in the past. You know, there's that guy, Philip Dragini, the Russian guy, you know, the stuff that he's finding. Martin Leakey, like you said, there's so much overwhelming evidence that, you know, there are things in the past that I think are way beyond our.
Wise Up. I want to shout out to Wise Up on that one.
Yeah,
Wise Up does some good stuff too.
But what about Brian Forrester and like Marie Wheatley we had on the other day? Then they're talking about the elongated skull people who have, she reckons, had an extra chakra and they were much smaller. And they built the long barrows, and they're about, she reckons, about 1,000 years older, but they were actually sort of integrating or starting to sort of, you know, the round-headed people started mating with those people and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's all this.
I'm actually working on some research now. I'll be
subhuman. They do not have a makeup like us. Everything is unknown. That's what Brian Forrester was talking about. Everything's unknown. But they're subhumans. Well, why aren't we talking about them then? It's 2018.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm working on some research now that I'll be releasing. I'll be doing a video very soon on this very subject. That because another thing. Once I became a flat earther, a big question that popped into my head was, why are they different races? Why are we all different? Why are there black people and white people and Chinese people and Indian people and Arabs? Where did that come from? How does this fit into the flat earth? How does this, what is that? Right? All these ancient megaliths and these unknown species of beings that all the ancient cultures talked about, where do they fit into the flat earth? Right? Like, what is that? So I got deep into the research, and I'm as far as I'm concerned, at least 100% sure that our flat earth is way larger than we can even begin to believe. There are many races of beings, extraterrestrial beings, and civilizations and cultures across the plane. I
think about that a lot. There's got to be more areas of the plane. It's got to be. It just has to be.
Oh, definitely,
and also,
definitely.
We reset, haven't we, somewhere along the line, whether it was natural or it was them, different times.
Maybe they just dropped us off over here. Yeah, said, oh,
who are the pyramids?
Just send those people over there.
Well, according to my research, going back to the whole racist thing, right? I think all the different physical races that are in this earth, in this part of earth, so black people, white people, Chinese people, we are all descendant of certain root races. So there are things called root races. And cut a long story short, I think if we went to other ponds or other dimensions on the flat earth, I'm sure you'd find a tribe and you'd go, now I see where the Chinese get their looks from. I can see the resemblance between these humanoid beings and Chinese people from back home. I can see the similarity. Does that make sense? So these are called root races and sub-races. So I don't know if you guys are aware of things like the Lemurians, the Atlanteans, the Hyperboreans, the Aryans, the Reptilians. All these are different races, I think, that are root races. So original races that are all over the plane of the earth. And most of us on earth, in this part, us humans, we are sub-races of a lot of these root races.
I've actually wondered, because, Martin will tell you, in the 1800s, there was a really bad flood here. And these floods have happened in times, big floods. It's not that we've been washed here, is it?
Washed ashore.
Yes and no. Here. Yes and no. Yeah. So the way I see it, like time is cyclical, as we all know. And just like we have seasons in nature, we have summer, we have autumn, we have winter, we have spring. There is also the same thing with time, with natural time, cycles of time. So in terms of consciousness, when we're in the winter season, there is always a reset that happens. And during this reset, everything has to start again in that particular domain or part of Earth. And then consciousness goes up again. We get from the winter, we go into the spring, which is where we're heading now, where we start waking up. We start discovering who we are, where we are. And then we get to the summer, the golden age, where We're now fully awake and fully aware of who we are and where we are. We're connected with the rest of the universe and the earth. And then a reset happens again. So it's like a sine wave, an up and down of time, of consciousness, of awakening, of sleeping and waking up, hibernating. That happens continuously. So according to my calendar, our reset happened 6,000 years ago, which is when the Bible starts. This is when the flood happened, the reset. And we've been in the winter so far, the universal winter, the cosmic winter in this realm, in this domain. We're now slowly coming out of the winter. We're now slowly coming out of hibernation, conscious hibernation. We're slowly waking up, right? And heading into the spring. The Vedics call them the Yuga ages. We're coming out of the Iron Age. We're slowly heading into the Bronze Age. We're ascending consciously. And then we'll come out of the Bronze Age. We'll go into the Silver Age. And then we'll get into the Golden Age. And then there's a reset. Something happens. We start again.
Sorry, Martin. I thought that's what we were going into now, the Golden Age, you know. This,
no, we're far from the Golden Age. We're far. Yeah, very far. We're far. We've been in the Iron Age. We're getting into the Bronze Age. We're ascending. It's a gradual ascension. It's like a sine wave. A sine wave doesn't just shoot up. It slowly ascends, doesn't it? Slowly ascending, gets to the top, to the peak, and then it slowly drops. It drops again. So we're getting into the Iron Age in this part of Earth. Into the Bronze Age, sorry.
Every 25,902 years. It was just
brilliant.
That was 1111 code in the chat. He put that. I had to say something because, yeah.
So that figure that he said, that's called an epoch. That 25,000 years is what's known as an epoch. And in that 25,000 years, this is when we go through the 4 ages, the 4 times of the day, the 4 times of consciousness, the 4 seasons in that 25,000 years. So we have roughly 6,000 years of Iron Age, 6,000 years of Bronze Age, 6,000 years of Silver Age, 6,000 years of Golden Age, and then that epoch ends. We start again. Another 25,000 years, another cycle.
So basically, it's all one big program then, whichever way you look at it.
Yeah.
We're always going to be some kind of program.
Yeah, I like to call it more, I don't like the word program because it sounds a bit computerish. A natural cycle, like in nature. There are seasons in nature. So it's a natural, conscious cycle that happens to us. But yeah, essentially it is a program, I guess.
Just changing the subject just a tiny bit because it just made me think of this. They've been sort of talking like last year with the eclipse that basically we were going into an ice age. But I'm wondering whether we've just come out of an ice age. I mean, the UK has not had a summer like this for since the 1980s. Was I think the last time where we had weeks of sun. 1980s. Maybe we've had a mini ice age. They just didn't tell us. Was telling us it's going to happen, but we've actually in it.
Are you talking about physically or are we metaphysically? Are you meaning like, you know?
We haven't had weeks of sun like this and nice weather since the 1980s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think there are certainly things that are happening. There are physical changes that are certainly happening with this conscious change. So I've got a chart that I've made, trying to decode the Egyptian Dendera stone, the Mayan calendar, the Dharma wheel from India, trying to understand it, to see like where are we on this 25,000 year cycle, but most importantly, where are we going? Where is this heading? Is this going somewhere? Is there a penultimate point to this awakening that's happening? So according to my research, whether I'm right or wrong, yes, there is. We're heading towards something big that is going to happen, not just consciously, but even physically, that we're all going to witness on this earth. And this will be like the official changing of the guard. We're officially coming out of the Iron Age, officially entering the Bronze Age, officially coming out of the age of Pisces, officially entering the age of Aquarius. So there's an official thing that happens in nature, naturally. And some people are calling it the event. The ancients called it, the Celtics called it the return of Nuifer. Some people call it the return of Nibiru, galactic alignment. There are many terms, the return of Christ. So there are many terms around something that happens. Every so often, there's this thing that happens that everyone is a part of. And it completely changes the paradigm of our reality. And we're almost forced to change because you can't deny it when you see it. And we're heading towards this imminently. And this is why we're seeing a lot of craziness. We're seeing more craziness in politics, in finance, the weather, the truth movement. There's so much chaos because it's all heading towards this changing of the guard, this shift out of one age into another.
A lot of people are really hoping by probably the end of this year it's much more mainstream. Do you think that's going to happen? Or do you think they'll just keep trying to cover it up and make it look like we're the mad ones?
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen that easily. Obviously, no one knows for sure, but I can't see it.
They said it to us. You just said earlier on though that they planted the fact that the flat Earth thing would happen. So if they planted it, don't they want it to be mainstream then? Really, if they planted it to happen now, sort of thing.
Yep, absolutely. They have, but like they always do, these elites they do something called problem, reaction, solution. Right? This is the name of the game. So what they do is they create a scenario, right? I'm sure you've all heard of this before. They create a scenario, and from that scenario, chaos ensues. There's chaos. So right now there's chaos. There are flat earthers and globe earthers, right? There's so much chaos within the truth movement. So out of that chaos, they've got the reaction they wanted. And the reaction is confusion, it's anger, it's being lost, which is where we are. We're all confused. We don't know what's happening. We don't know who's doing it. We don't know, who to trust. Is Trump a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he going mainstream? Isn't it? There's confusion. So that's the reaction. And at some point, they're going to, that confusion is going to hit a tipping point, a breaking point. And when that breaking point happens, this is when they're going to bring forth their solution, which I think is a new world order or one world order. That's the solution to all the chaos.
Aren't we already?
Now, how are they going to play that out?
It's already here.
Yeah. New world order is the wrong term. One world order. Sorry, the one world order.
It's already here, isn't it? We're already in it.
Not officially. When I say one world order, I mean like one currency, one government, one religion.
Being rolled out for a long time. I mean, look at the airlines, and they're not under like one airline at the moment now. I mean, They had this Star Alliance a few years ago, but I think now they have this, is it called One Global or some shit like that? I mean, come on, get a fucking good name at least. Yeah, behind the scenes, for sure, we are in a one world order already. Obviously, all the media is owned by the, Santos talks about this quite a lot, by one family. Everything is owned. The banking system is run by one family, the Pallavicinis and the Rossinis and all these, secret families. So behind the scenes, yes, we are in a one world order, but not officially, obviously. To the masses, as far as they're concerned, absolutely not.
They're telling us we're free people and we've got democracy, but really we're not. We're in an open air prison.
No. Absolutely. So I think that will come to a head and it will become an official thing, but they need to create a scenario where people will almost beg for it. We need to be desperate enough to say, yes, please help us, government. That's what they want.
You know what it seems though? It seems that this whole thing is set up to, it was set up to make sure we were all separate colours, separate religions, separate, languages. And for me, Flat Earth was about us all coming together. None of that matters anymore. It doesn't matter. It's coming together. And you can only do that in this consciousness here now.
You're absolutely right, Karen. But when we're now talking astrologically and esoterically, these elites, they're not stupid. They use astrology. They know about all these deeper truths about how energy works, universal laws, how to manipulate them, how to use them to their advantage. They're alchemists, they're magicians. We all are. The difference is we don't know that we have the power to do it. They do.
Oh,
so they
yeah.
use it to their advantage.
9/11 happened so they could bring the Patriot Act in.
Absolutely.
You know,
so again,
going into these people are baddies when actually they were probably the goodies, and now they've destroyed everything in their countries.
Yep, absolutely. So what they do is they manipulate astrology. For instance, they know we are meant to be coming out of the age of Pisces, which we've been in for the last 2,000 years. Now, the age of Pisces, consciously, is an age of division. The two fish divided. This is when we were all divided, different races, different cultures, different this. We're now entering the age of Aquarius, and the age of Aquarius is what? The mixing of the waters, coming together, right? That's the age of Aquarius. It's the coming together. The waters are now being mixed. Unity. So now we're seeing all this transgender stuff. We're now seeing this immigration stuff, open the borders up. Let's all mix. Let's all come together. The flat earth movement, have one thing in common, right? They are doing these things on purpose. However, they're doing it in a profane way. They're not doing it the right way. So they're doing the right things.
They're doing it all through fear and making money they're making money out of fear. They're keeping us all in fear. Fear.
Absolutely. But they're using universal energy to do that. So technically they are working with cosmic energy. They're working with the cycle, that cycle we're talking about, that astrological cycle. They're working with that energy because they know how to. So those of us who are awakening, who are on the good side, we need to catch up really quickly and learn how to use this energy for good. So yes, we're coming into age of mixing, but let's not talk about mixing in a negative way, mixing in a positive way for the right reasons. Not to further control people, but to further empower people. So this is now playing the game at their level, which most of us in the flat earth community are nowhere near. Nowhere near.
We're too spread out in that sense. There's a lot of us, but and it's like before we went on, it's like we were saying that unfortunately flat earth has got a bit political. I don't even want to use that word because that's a global word, but we've got no political stance here, so, and we're all spread over all these different countries, and we're having to do it on YouTube. They're keeping us on YouTube. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Karen. But having said everything I've said, according to me, whether I'm right or wrong, again, there is a time and place for everything. So let's not live in fear. Let's not think that these powers that be are ultimately in control and they are winning and they have all the answers. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like I'm saying, we are on the turn. Things are changing. So the natural cycle of things will balance out energies. What do I mean by that? Those of us who wake up to a certain level eventually will not be able to be part of the system. So there is a place for us, right? There is a time for us. So there's a place and a time for everything and for everyone. And the thing is not to live in fear. Don't be afraid. Remember, this is just a game. Ultimately, this is all just a game. We are spiritual beings having a physical existence. You're only here for a short while to play this game of life. That's all we're doing. We're playing this game of life. And when you pass on, in whatever form, right, you go to the spirit world and you come back to somewhere on earth and you play the game again. It might not be back here where we are. It might be in another place on the plane of the earth. Maybe a better place or a worse place. Who knows? According to where you are spiritually and consciously. So I now enjoy the game. When I see crazy things happening, it doesn't affect me. I enjoy it and I go, wow, that's interesting. When I hear all the craziness happening with politics and Trump, it doesn't get me upset anymore. I don't get upset because I know it's just a game. Right? And that game has to change at some stage, and will change, and it is changing.
People
but
don't
it has to change at the right time and in the right
Dallas
place.
And Dynasty. It's all Dallas and Dynasty.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I've chosen to exit the game. I no longer want to play this game. So I've told the universe or God or the creator that, hey, I think I'm ready to move on to the next thing. Again, that meaning of life, experience, learning, growing, and moving on. I feel like I've reached a stage where this game doesn't excite me anymore. Right? At some stage, creator, in the next round, please, can I not play this game? Can I play a better game? Can I move on to the next stage? The game's up, for me at least, and many other people as well.
But that's obviously happening for you anyway, because, you know, like 3 or 4 years ago, you didn't know what you know now.
Yesterday, I didn't know what I know now. You know? Constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly, you know, correcting myself, constantly being wrong, being right. Every day is a learning process for me, every single day.
Did you say that like, is all your family and friends with you or not? Like, you've had to struggle personally on this one? Because I have. You know, my youngest son yesterday was quite rude to me yesterday about it, and I wasn't even talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, my close family, my wife and my 2 kids, not a problem. We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
My wife is on the same journey as me, so lucky, you know. Thank God for that. My kids are quite young. I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, so you know, well, they just do whatever dad says, I suppose, and mom. So I'm quite lucky that way. But outside of that circle, the rest of my family think I've absolutely gone bonkers and gone nuts. If they could, they would section me. They've actually said that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Welcome to the club, brother. Welcome to the club. You know, we're all there, I'm sure.
And you learn all this insight. You understand much more about where you live. It brings peace to you. And yet, on another hand, it makes you sort of cut off, shut off, and the opposite of what this thing you've learned and understood. It's just crazy.
Absolutely. No, it's beyond comprehension. I can't even. It's laughable now. You know, when I first woke up, it was the weirdest thing in the world. You know, when I was trying to explain to them as rationally as I could, and they just weren't getting it. And what was worse, like particularly my parents, particularly, you know. So my father, he's quite, you know, he was a banker. He was in the banking system. So being in the banking system, he's met people and seen things. So when I was telling about this stuff, what really upset me was he believed me. He was like, yeah, you're probably right, my son, but so what? It doesn't matter. So what? Just play the game. Just, you know, you're not going to get far in life questioning authority. Look after your family. Stop asking too many questions. Just feed your family. Do well in life. And that's what hurt me the most, that he didn't even care. I couldn't understand that. I couldn't understand it. So he was like, yes, there are families that are secret families running the world. Yes, we are lied to about many things. Yes, we are poisoned, manipulated, but there's nothing you can do about it. So what's the point of trying? Just get along with it. If you can't beat them, join them. That's basically what he was saying without saying it.
Yeah, I remember hearing that a lot growing up. Can't fight the system, man.
Yep.
But you can piss on their steps or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, I remember a lot of people telling me that. Hey, you can't fight the system. You can't fight the system. Oh yes, you can.
Yep.
You have to.
Yep. You have to. You have to.
Everybody hanging out with us today. We have to keep fighting. We'll get there.
Absolutely.
And we're all on our own journeys, and we're all gonna end up at the same destination. No question.
Absolutely.
I have to say that my youngest son yesterday was trying to say to me, what difference does it make? I don't care. And that's how he was talking to me. But I'm not sure at his age whether it would have meant the same. It's happened because this is when it's happened for me. But it did seem really strange that 2016, many people woke up that year. But I wonder.
Do you mind asking how old your son is, Karen?
He's 29.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's just not the time for him.
Like you said, I'm crazy. I'm just crazy. Oh, look what she's got into now. She's crazy. Oops, my phone on the floor. She's crazy.
Yeah, but I think you'd be surprised. He probably is saying that out of fear more than anything else. He obviously, being your son, I'll be surprised if he's not looked into it at some, even from a length. And I think him lashing out that way is because it's scaring him, because you might be right. And like I said before, it's a traumatic thing to realize that your reality is not, what you want it to be.
Yeah, he's got.
So normally it's out of fear.
Like it, so I think to flat earthers who've got little children, the most important thing is that these children grow up knowing we live on a flat plane. But for him, maybe, I don't know, he's just got into his little girl and works and likes the money, don't they? Likes the money. This generation behind, they're quite egotistical, aren't they? That's what they've been bred. Drinking, egotistical. It is like that for a lot of, I don't know, 20 to 30-year-olds. It's what they've seen. It's what is hip. It's everything they're watching on the television. Television.
Yeah, you're right. And the system is very clever. It's a smart system, because you'll find, I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, that most people who wake up to flat earth are in a certain state or place in their lives. You have to be in a certain place. If you're wealthy and you drive a nice car and you've got a good job, the likelihood of you waking up to flat earth is very slim. Very slim. Because you're enjoying the system. You're reaping the rewards of the system. So why would you want the system to change? It's working for you. So why question it? Right? So you find a lot of people who wake up to flat earth are people who wake up to it because the system is not working for them. So it's easier to wake up to it. It's easier to see the delusion, the lie, the illusion.
Right.
Because you've got no vested interest in it.
Yeah,
so for myself, if my business had been doing well at the time, if I was enjoying my job at the time, if I was doing well financially at the time,
and they've never thought about it.
There's no way I would have woken up to flat earth or any of this, or wanted to at least.
A lot of people,
because I'd be enjoying the system. I'd be in the system. I'm part of the system. I'd have been part of the problem. So why would I want to change it?
A lot of people haven't thought about it though, but I do feel a bit for the ones that do know that it's around and just don't care or don't even want to look at it. That's the bit. It's just it's upsetting, really.
Yep.
Because they do know, but then again, you see, everybody's marginalised, and the way that all the television programs are put, and I just think people are, like you say, probably in fear of wanting to change. The thing is, they don't realise we're all flat earth. We always were.
Well, people aren't going to give up their vested interests in their retirement plans and, hey man, it's flat. Oh, okay. I'm going to quit my job today. No, they don't do that, man, because they got 2 kids and a house payment, car payment. And they're working for the man and working for Pepsi or whatever, And they're just not going to give that up, man. You could tell them, you could show them, you could take them up in a balloon and say, look, it's flat, I'll be like, okay, I got to go to work now. Yeah. That's just humans being humans, right?
That's spot on, that, Kenny. I tell you, man. Absolutely bob on. Got to go to work now, man. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, man, there's a soccer game on TV. You want to watch it? Okay.
No.
They don't care, man.
Yeah, that's just awesome, isn't it? You know, you get someone in a hot air balloon, you've gone as high as you could possibly go. Look, it's pretty flat, don't you think? Yeah. Oh man, I got to get back to work, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
The boss
Manchester's
is going to be
playing today, man. I gotta go watch Manchester.
You know, at one point in a previous life, I would have been absolutely over the moon to see United playing football. I mean, any game. But nowadays, it's not even on my wish list anymore. You know, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Totally irrelevant. And it is another one of those things to distract us. You know, sports are only there to distract us, to keep us away from learning who we truly are. Like, really, I mean. You look at all the games that we've invented. The English have invented so many games.
Tennis, golf.
Yeah. Keep going. You know, rugby,
soccer,
football.
rugby.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
I didn't even think you invented baseball.
What about squash?
In some pub. Yeah, I was looking into it. Comes from some bar game they played out back at the pub.
Right. But like Skittles, you know, you have this bowling alleys. That was a kind of an old thing with little wooden balls back in the day, you know.
Nothing means the same anymore, does it? That's out there.
Well, that's a good thing. That means we're waking up and we're going through this process, and it is a process. And we're all on different levels, and we're all trying to, we're all in the same tent, you know, we're on the same field. But there's just, there's different levels, I think, and it's hard. It's not easy.
I was saying myself last night as well that without putting it into a category, but flat Earth is quite an intellectual thing, isn't it? I mean, last night we had Stan Smith, and, in a sense, he's like a scientist now. Dave Marsh, they're like scientists because they really are doing experiments to find out what we're living on and what's happening. And it's like in 2018, we've got great big observatories. It's all this, and those things believe those stars are light years away. Oh my goodness, they all need to go to prison.
Good point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and what you've said is a good point, that there are people who are taking this thing to the next level, whether it's through the sciences, through research, or whatever. Because if we don't do that within the flat Earth, that is where the danger comes in. They're all infighting because there's no purpose. So it's all about purpose. And I get, my sister was speaking to me the other day, and she's become a flat earther now, closet. So she asked me questions. So she hasn't said she's a flat earther, but she asks questions like a flat earther, if that makes sense. And I said to her, and she said to me, okay, what's the plan? Right? All you flat earthers going out there and talking about flat earth, what is the plan? What are you hoping to achieve? Is there a scenario? Do you want to overthrow the government? Do you want to take over the banking system? And what are you going to replace it with? What are you hoping where are you hoping this is going?
Yeah, we get that a lot.
So I looked at it and I thought, wow, that's a good question, actually.
It is a good question.
You know what? Hands up, we're walking away, right? We're shutting up the banks. We're shutting up all our businesses, YouTube, Facebook, everything, right? All you truthers, you can take over now.
Yeah, that's great. No, but right? It's a good question, right? And I think many of us have been asked that question as well, because I've been posed that, all right, you find out, and then what? But then what do you do? Okay, you're trying to overthrow the government, or you're trying to overthrow NASA, or you're trying to make sure that anything on the news is, flagged if it's not correct news or whatever. I'm like, well,
we do have a few things though. We have Aaron's Looming project, and that's an amazing project.
Yes, it is. That's an amazing project.
We've got things like Sun and Moon. This is a platform for the people to talk, because we're at the talking stage. But we have to move forward, because you're right. We have to, if we woke up tomorrow and it was over, we're flat. We need to know how to move on a bit as the people.
Well, I think the next progressive stage for moving on is, of course, we still need to inform people that the Earth is flat, and people are still, debating, Okay, we're not, but there are many people that are still debating whether or not it is the shape
every
that
day.
Yeah. I'm not talking about Nathan Oakley or anything like that. I'm on about, you know, people within themselves are debating. Could it be right, man? Is it true? Am I living on a flat? It doesn't seem to be moving, you know, that kind of attitude. People are debating within themselves. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not. And I think the more that we're actually in a good position nowadays, we have all the ammunition here because we've got the internet that we can reach so many so fast. Whereas 500 years ago, how long did it take a messenger to go from one town to the next town with a message?
We have had electricity since the word go, so we don't know if that's even true, any of that history anymore. That's what they've told us.
Well, let's say 20 years ago, not 500, 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is that it's not like back in the days of the telegraph, you know, or Morse code or whatever, you know, early days. I'm talking now, we can actually see people and we can see a film a minute later after it's been uploaded, you know what I mean? From Hawaii.
He had some bad reception.
But I have to say, if you listen to Martin Leakey, he was showing us some pictures in the 1800s, and he was saying, do these people really look like they were building an empire? You know, building buildings that were 10, 20 feet high? No, he said they look like people who were digging themselves out.
There's definitely a lot of evidence to that, no question.
Yeah.
Certainly opened my eyes. Thank you, Martin.
So we could have had a lot more before that, and then they've lied and covered it all up, and the big trees have gone and all this kind of stuff. All the nice buildings which were there, which he feels the Americans like New York. These buildings were there. These buildings are much older, and they've knocked a lot of them down.
It says in all the religious texts, all of them, the Bible, the Quran, the Vedic texts, there is nothing new under the sun. Nothing. What is happening today has happened before and will happen again. All of them say the same thing. So this idea that, internet is new. No, it's not. Internet has been here before in some time in the past, and it will disappear again in the future and reappear again. There is nothing new under the sun. Cycle of life.
Right.
I mean, if this one is correct in the 1800s, we've been recovering from that one.
Yeah. Yep. A mini reset, if you like. Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to imagine, but a few weeks ago, I started looking at tsunamis in Japan and that, and like these things, they never really put them on the news. They're catastrophic. The sea comes in maybe for 3, 4, 5 miles, just doesn't stop coming in for hours, and it's actually destroyed everything, and then it's all got to go back out. I mean, I definitely don't want to sea view in Japan. A tsunami might come in and swallow me up, and thousands of people seem to die, and they don't mention, like, you imagine it on that's just hitting one area on one place in Japan. But this seemed that in the past we've had much bigger worldwide floods.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe some of it is. Do you think it's all them, or do you think it's a natural thing?
I think a bit of both. I think a lot of the weather is definitely manipulated through HARP and all that. But I think what they're actually doing is, rather than maybe creating a weather phenomenon, I think they ride the wave of something. So maybe there is a tsunami that does happen, but maybe not as catastrophic as the one that actually eventually happens, because they've heightened that event. So I think that's what they do. They prey on, how can I put it? You know, there are things that are already happening, and all they do is they ride on that wave and accelerate it.
It's like, I think what you're trying to say, or is this not correct? You know, I'm trying to assume something now, but they like using the energy of whatever's being put out there, and they riding along with it. You know, let's say that there was a natural catastrophe, and then they add to it. You know, let's throw some rain on that. Let's throw a storm on that as well.
Yes.
You know, some broken glass. you know.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they do. You know what really annoys me? The fact that we're being lied to all the time. They know that we know, but yet they will not inform people about it, you know. They won't inform us. They won't tell us, all right, look, you figured it out. I think it's time to come clean. All these governments that we trust and we put them in power, they shouldn't be in power because, well, they shouldn't be in power.
They've all abused. They've abused everything that they were put there for, and they're definitely not there for the people. You know, like you only realise now through people like Santos and David. Our David. You know, like it's all just all politics. It's all a lie. We don't even need them.
No, we don't. And they're there tricking us. They're conning us out of money, out of pocket, out of life, stealing our children, you know. Corruption, that's all it is. Seriously. And
but
anyone can look
what I would
into
say,
it and you'll know, really.
I mean, you don't even realise that when you actually say, hey, I'm voting, say, for Trump, what you're signing for is sort of behind your back is, well, let's produce this horrible machine for that. And this means we've got money so that we can go and destroy that country. But what we'll do is we'll tell them that they're the baddies and we need to invade them and all that's going on. And you don't realise. You just don't realise that you thought, oh, I'm ticking because I want a better world. Tick.
Absolutely. Can I just be devil's advocate? And please don't crucify me for saying what I'm about to say. Please bear with me, okay? I hear what you guys are saying, and I agree with that. However, at this point in time where we are, humanity, where we are right now, even within the truther community, until we have a solution, until we have a fuller picture of all of this, right? Better the devil you know. Better the devil you know. So yes, these people in power, these bad people are doing all these things to us. But right now, we need them to carry on doing what they're doing to some extent until we are ready to take over. Because tomorrow, if they dropped everything, we would go back into the dark age.
I agree.
Because you and I, we didn't know how to operate money or the internet or anything.
No, can I just interrupt you there? It's still on the same thread. I agree with what you're saying there, totally, right? And that's why I was also saying earlier, we need to inform people because the more people that are informed and know about this flat earth and know about this deception that they've been, leading or have been led, then we can start to do things because there are people that know about banking, that know about money, that know about, this and that and the other, because as smart as we may seem, we're just normal people, aren't we? Doing research. Yep. At the end of the day, we're just regular people doing research, with a passion.
Yeah, but realistically, going back to what we're saying, those people in those positions will never ever turn against their masters because they're reaping the rewards. They have no reason to. So even if it is true, they're not interested because they are part of the system. So I'm beginning to think that maybe what we actually need to do, dare I say this, we actually almost need to negotiate with them. Right? So I hear a lot of flat earthers saying, oh, hang them, get them in the streets. Let's kill them. Let's remove them. Down with these evil people. That's a bad move, I think. What we almost need to say is, look, okay, you've done what you did. You've lied to us. You've murdered us. You sick, thieving, pedophile scum. Yes, but okay, let's move forward. Let's move forward. First of all, who are you? Who are you? And how can we make this work for everyone going forward with your help? That's the next step. That's the logical, intelligent thing to do.
Can I say something? What about all those people that sit in NASA and believe that they're really helping, people go into space? Are you sort of saying that, in a sense, we need more people just need to wake up? Once the more people wake up, then it'll have to change because it will.
They won't. They have no reason to wake up. Even if they want, even if they did know the truth, they have no incentive to wake up because they're benefiting from the system. So even if you're at NASA and you do realize that actually what we're doing here, there's a lot of fraudulent work that we're doing here. We're not telling the full truth. At that point, you're not all of a sudden, very few, I'm not saying everyone, but most people will say, do you know what? I earn a good living off this. I'm making good money from this. I've got a mortgage to pay. I've got kids that need to go to college. I've got, you know, bills to pay. So, do you know what? Whatever. Whatever. That's what 90% of the people will do. So, you know, it's a pointless battle. It's a pointless battle. It's only when that person gets sacked, when they lose their job, then they'll go, hang on a minute. We need to do something about the system. Right? Because now they're on the losing side.
Yeah, but can I just say something as well? Sorry, I seem to be under the impression that humanity in general is pissed off, right? Don't get me wrong now. A lot of people are very, very disgruntled with the way that things are in general. You know, you can see it. I talk to so many people from all corners of the earth, and everyone's disgruntled. You know, we're all in a shit job and we're not happy, and no one's happy anymore.
My middle son says that. He says he's talking to people and a lot of people know things aren't right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, Karen. Something is definitely not right, you know. Not only have I said it, other people have said it to me as well, you know, that aren't even truthers.
Mind you, it's not right, is it?
Definitely not right.
But, and you're absolutely right. I agree with that. Most people definitely know that. But the issue here is, are people disgruntled enough to completely flip the system completely, or do they want the system to tweak and change to their advantage?
I think we are going to get some sort of I keep saying this, like a bloodless revolution. We'll have a reset. We'll have some sort of a shift. There has to be, because the way that things have been going, I mean, all my life I've been unhappy. You know, I can't say I've ever been very happy. The way that things are, I mean, I'm pretty clued into many things, you know. I just hope that the rest of mankind is in a, you know, similar kind of framework or a similar mindset, that they can see the same sort of thing, you know. We need to wake
Okay, let's do a bit of role play.
We definitely need to wake people up, and people need to be aware of like what is going on, because I mean, as I'm walking around, I'm looking and seeing and observing everything that I can see. It's disgusting, man. The world is in a shit pile. It really is. And I'm living in a pretty good country, you know. Sorry, I yield the floor.
Yeah, you're right. But let's do a little bit of role play. Okay,
right.
let's look at a scenario here. Possible scenario. I'm going to imagine for 1 minute that I am part of the controlling system that's controlling this whole thing, right? Now, I'm going to imagine, and if I can imagine this, I would imagine they've thought of this scenario. Okay, I'm going to imagine right now, I know people are disgruntled. I know people are starting to wake up. People are starting to figure out that the system is rigged, that something's not right. So I decide at some point I'm going to pull the plug. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a financial crash, right?
Yeah.
Possibly even maybe a mini war, a fake hoax war to really scare people. So the financial crash, a fake little war between North Korea and America or whatever, right? Just to scare people enough so that whatever I introduce as a solution, they will lap it up. So during that chaos, I will then come around and say, hey guys, look, okay, this has gone too far. Do you know how we can solve this? Now we're going to have one currency so that we never have a financial crash. If we have one currency on Earth and everyone's sharing the same money, we will never ever have another crash. Do you think people will say no to that in that chaos?
No.
They'll welcome it.
Yeah, they'll
and
be
what
all
if
over it.
that president of the UN says, do you know what? Let's have one president of Earth. Forget all these different nations.
Sounds
The
like
reason why we World War III is because we have all different countries Let's have one government, the UN government, controlling everything. That way, no one fights with anyone. Right?
Yep. Perfect. Yep.
Perfect
scenario. It up, man.
Now, I've thought of that, and I'm just some simple guy in England.
Right.
Okay. I imagine these people in power who've been planning these things. I'd be very surprised if they thought of that idea.
Oh yeah, they thought of it.
Do you know what's really weird, right?
And had to pull it off.
You would have thought something like 9/11 was bad enough in itself, you know, the whole thing, what we watched, but it didn't change the people or help the people. But I mean, this year we've had 2 nuclear bomb alerts, and no one's talking about it really. It's gone. I mean, that's pretty serious, isn't it? 2 nuclear bombs could have been sent off, even by accident. The whole thing, like, how they really want to frighten us, don't they?
Well, Karen, sorry to interrupt you there, sweetie. I think there's actually been not only 2 nuclear bomb alerts, there's been other things as well that we're just not aware of, you know. It's just not on the news, that's all. Anything on the news is not newsworthy, you know. It's just shite. News, north, east, west and south, that's all it is. Bit of gossip from those 4 corners of the earth.
It's one of the most depressing things to watch in the UK is the news. It's just so depressing. There's nothing nice on it.
Yeah, it's meant that way as well.
You know, there's quite a lot of news being drummed into you if you watch the television, you know, like you're constantly being told. Then the adverts come on, cancer or illness or debt. Nothing's ever happy. Then the soaps come on. Everybody's lying, cheating, killing. Then you've got the reality one. Everybody's getting drunk, cheating, lying. It's sort of, that's why we don't turn our televisions on, most of the flat earthers, and don't go out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
That taking away, can't help it, can you? Because, you know, what do you want to do? Sit with a bunch of people talking about, oh, yeah, did you watch that program last night? Or, you know, no. You walk out and you think, where's the moon? You're thinking of different things, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So what do you think's the way forward then, if you think it's not going to be a big sort of change? Because a lot of people are hoping this is the year, it's coming.
Oh, no. There's definitely going to be change. I'm sure of it, for sure. 100%. There is going to be huge change coming. Huge change. If my calculations are correct and my research is correct, 5 years from now, or certainly after 2020, we will not recognize the world we're living in at all. We will look back to today and think, oh my God, that seems like a different age completely. I'm sure of that. What that change is going to be is where it's open for me. I don't know what that change is going to be or how it's going to come about. However, because I know astrologically that we are ascending consciously, I know that the change is always going to be better. We're ascending. We're on the up. So that's the good thing. So I'm not saying the new government is going to be perfect and the world is going to be singing Kumbaya and everyone's happy. Absolutely not. I think there will still be control systems in place. I think there will still be things that will oppress humanity. However, I do think that the world will be a much safer and fairer and happier place than it is today.
Really
that
hope
I'm sure of.
What happens?
I agree with that.
Because we're waking up.
Sure
they won't be able to ignore the change, you mean?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. I think they understand how energy works. So they are preparing. So for instance, this one world order, and I know many people in the truther community will all say, oh, we don't want a one world order, we don't want that. But actually, you know, that is part of the change for the better. Because I think if we have one currency and we have one government, you know, there's always a give and take. There's always duality with everything. The duality, the bad side of that is that there'll be tighter controls.
You know, like the European Union, the people that were the MPs there, they weren't voted in, and they got great big salaries, and you couldn't vote them out.
That's true. So that's something we're going to lose. We're going to lose freedom of speech, and we're going to lose liberty, humanity in general. So, for instance, there will be tighter controls on what you say, on what you can share. There will be less. You'll have less of a voice in what's going on Earth, for sure. So the grip on humanity is going to be much tighter.
We're already seeing that, Martin.
Yeah.
Already.
However, the good side of it is there will be no more wars. Wars will end. So people will not have to die for money because people are making money out of war. That will end.
In place for that, though, they've got to be good people.
Yeah, that will definitely end. With a one world government, it has to end. There's no point in fighting if the world has one government. Who is that government fighting? So that has to end naturally.
Not sure.
Because the only reason why there's war is because we have separate governments. We have separate ideals on the surface.
Not
obviously.
Sure if I'd like anybody that's there right now to be in this sort of one world government.
Unfortunately, like I said, because we're only at the beginning of this Bronze Age thing, it's never going to be perfect. The new world is not going to be a, kumbaya, we have a president and a fair government that tells us the truth. No. The lies will continue, but they'll be less than they are now, for sure.
I don't think that we should be under any sort of control. We should govern ourselves, We should be able to govern ourselves. We should be able to look after and take care of ourselves. We're responsible adults, aren't we? You would imagine.
Yes. But let's be realistic. Right now, even
realistic.
Look how we're fighting.
I'm being realistic. I mean, we can take care of ourselves. If I don't need a government to take care of me and say to me, you're supposed to drive at this speed and you're supposed to stop when that light's red. I can flipping work that shit out already, We don't need governments. We should be able to govern ourselves. Simple as that. There shouldn't be a government.
The thing is, what it is they like all this because they make money out of us. That's why they like all this and all the laws, and when we break them and that, it's all about money. But it would be nice if there's someone actually in place that was actually thinking about the welfare of the people and spiritually more.
I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, if we did a consensus right now on Earth and we asked everyone to vote, do you want to be governed? Yes or no? Most people would say, yes, we want to be governed, but we want good governance. Majority. People like me and you who are beyond that will say no, because we're beyond that. But we're a small minority. We're less than 1%. Most people on Earth today will tell you, absolutely not. Like, why would you want to get rid of government? We need government. We need to be told how fast to drive. We need to be told what to do and when to do it. We need it. Most people, I guarantee you, ask your neighbor, stop anyone in the street and ask them. They'll say, yes, we just want it to be good. We want it to work. That's what they'll say. So they'll say, we don't have a problem with government. We have a problem with government that doesn't work. And this is what I'm saying. We're a long way from self-governance. We're very far. People like me and you, we are a tiny minority. Believe me, we're less than 1%. So yes, I agree with you, but this is what I'm saying. We have to be realistic of the overall situation.
You know what, as well, though, don't you?
Not ready for governance.
These people have to wake up. You can't drag them. You can't pull a horse to water. These people have got to wake up.
Absolutely.
Why did they not wake
right
up
time,
then?
right place.
Why didn't they wake up then?
Because it's not the right time. Like I'm saying, the ages, things are changing. Everything has to happen, at the right time.
I'm going to say simple fact that they weren't paying attention maybe one day when they were looking at YouTube, and they just flicked past the page that said, have you looked at Flat Earth, or, whatever, 200 proofs. Do you know what I'm saying? They might not have looked at it in that sense. They've not laid their eyes upon it or the news, when the news was on TV saying that there's a flat Earth conference, this, that, or the other, they've not listened, you know, they've not been paying attention, you know, and it could just slip by them. Many people haven't heard about flat Earth, even though we're in 2018, supposedly. There are still many people that haven't heard about it, you know, and we're still many people that are, you know, going around telling people.
Yeah, you're right. I think I agree with that. You know, the work doesn't stop. We have to continue, you know, spreading the word and telling people about it. The strict activism. A good friend of mine, Ruben, and Victoria, and all those people who are doing street activism and all that. That's fantastic. We need to carry on doing that, obviously. But, you know, looking at the grand picture of it, like I'm saying, looking beyond. Someone earlier passed a really good comment when they said that, what was the comment? That perspective is everything, right? So to me and you, you know, it's hard to fathom that someone who's looked into flat Earth can't figure out that the Earth is flat. But beyond that, for me, it's hard for me to say, I don't know how anyone who's seen any vegan documentary does not become a vegan. I can't understand how. For me, it's crazy. It's hard for me to understand how anyone who's listened to Santos and is still religious, is still following Christianity and Islam dogmatically. But that's from my perspective. For me, it's crazy that anyone who's heard that cannot figure it out. But it's down to perspective and right time, right place. So you can't force people. People, if they're not ready, if it's not the time, it's not the time. We who have woken up to this stuff, we're like the early birds. We're the ones who are ahead of the curve of the sine wave. We're the ones laying the foundation for future generations who will then follow and ride that wave after us. But things are not going to change that quick. Never. So our job is to plant as many seeds as we can and lay a solid enough foundation for future maybe 2-3 generations down the line to then build something on top of. And that's what I mean by we've got to be realistic about things. We're not going to change things overnight. Impossible. Things will not change in the next 100 years. We're here to plant seeds. We're here to lay a foundation. And then when we're gone, when we've moved on, that's when real change will start coming into effect. So it's about working smart and not working hard. At the moment, a lot of us are working really hard, but we're not working smart and seeing the bigger picture and saying, well, actually, you know, what's the bigger picture here? That's what I think anyway.
I agree with you. And to find the right approach, the right time, it's going to take this is going to take 100 years.
Absolutely.
I agree. But you know, it's got to start with us. We are the beginning of amazing things, and it's been an amazing ride. It feels like 100 years, and it's only been what, 3, 4?
Yep.
So we got to keep moving. We'll get there. Really good stuff, man. Thank you so much for sharing today. This has been amazing. I yield the floor.
Yeah, it's really nice to talk, you know, because that's the bit that seems to be missing a bit, isn't it? Is talking to each other. Yeah, absolutely. And I think intelligent conversation, you know, I think Flat Earth is becoming a bit stale, where you put on, you know, you've gone to a lot of the channels and it's the same thing. We're still talking about the same things over and over again. We're still complaining. We're still mentioning the same things. We're still doing the same things. And I think we need a bit more conversation that is a little bit deeper, I think. I think we need to, you know, push the boat out a bit more and start thinking outside, you know, the flat Earth box, so to speak.
Well said.
Well, again, that's my perspective. That's my view on it.
I have to agree with you there. I don't like being a yes man. It seems like I'm being that tonight, but yeah, I agree again. And that's why I like Sun and Moon for the people that we have coming on here. Like, you know, you tonight, for example, you've opened my eyes in a big way. Just by the way that you're speaking, you know, the things that you're speaking about. It's different.
Yeah, Kenny,
than other people. You know,
positive. He's positive.
Yeah. Totally, yeah. But what I mean is, you're delivering in a different way than other people deliver, and in that sense, my ears are more open. My eyes are open.
Exactly.
I can't see anything. If you understand what I'm saying, my ears are more open. Yeah.
So
I yield
right
floor.
on, Astral.
Oh, nice
well, thank you, guys. Well, thank you. I don't do well with compliments, but thank you very much.
Well,
yeah, it's all
a compliment. It's more like we're ready. I guess we're ready to hear your message. That's all. I think.
And are yours as well. And are yours. You know.
Yeah.
Again, it's a journey that we're all on. I've learned a lot today. I've heard some new names that I'm going to go off. I've written down and go off and research that you guys have dropped that I hadn't heard before. So, you know, I'm grateful for as well. And information that you guys have shared. I've also learned a lot. So back at you.
Well, I think also, like, we can listen to things like this, you know, episodes like this, and you know, reflect upon it. And sometimes I like listening to things again.
Yeah, and see that we get on, even if we're all different and have different perspectives.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That we can all get on with each other.
There's no need for animosity.
No.
Although, you know, I'm
the one thing that's missing, I think.
Guilty of that at times.
We've got Martin's been saying.
We
a lot of a lack of patience. No patience anymore.
Yeah.
So this is what's causing a lot of problems, because people just, you know, don't seem to have any patience about things.
Well,
yeah. It says in the great books that my people perish because of a lack of understanding. You know, because, you know, it's desperation. Many of us in the flat earth, like we said earlier on, you know, we're becoming desperate. You know, things are getting worse. People don't appear to be waking up. We're being censored more and more. It doesn't look like we're going anywhere. So now we're lashing out at one another. We're fighting each other now. We're turning on each other. You know, it's just desperation and lack of purpose. So those of us who are understanding, those of us who are genuinely open-minded and who want to learn and progress, what we need to do is we need to stick together, continue to learn from one another, continue to share and grow and inform and update each other and walk the path together. Those who are here to destroy and to create chaos, well, let them do what they're doing. Live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Hey, Martin, in the chat room, Hope Springs Eternal put, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Absolutely. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are afraid of change.
I was going to say, who's this flat earth map in the chat room? He says, we don't need YouTube conspiratards. We've had the Flat Earth Society for 200 years now. You can go and leave the chat, please. We don't have anything to do with the Flat Earth Society. Goodness gracious, man. Come on.
Flat Earth Math.
We're a people's group here. We're a platform to bring people together and to listen to people.
Is that Flat Earth Math in the chat? I can't see the chat right now.
Flat Earth map. Yeah?
Map. Not math. Okay, never mind.
Just a troll.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Anyway, I said we'll say goodbye off air. I think we've been going now for 2.25 hours. So that's probably long enough, isn't it? This is quite a long time to talk. But I've really enjoyed having this hangout with you, and it's really nice. You're positive, and yeah, I can tell you're quite a spiritual, deep person. So that's great.
Yeah, thank you guys. I really, really appreciate having me on the show, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and just the good energy. I feel like I've known you all. I've only spoken to you for the first time today, but everyone I've spoken to today, I just felt a warmth and you know, brothers and sisters. Natural, but very natural.
Yeah.
And also, before I go, I just want to mention, if you're in the UK, there's a Flat Earth meetup on Sunday, Speaker's Corner in London, Hyde Park. So it'd be nice if we can get as many people down there as possible and just spread the word. But, you know, more importantly, you know, be with like-minded people. So if everyone's in the UK.
Do you know all the people that are going to that already? A few? You're going.
Roxanne's she going?
I'm not sure if I'm going to go. I'd like to go, but I'm not sure yet. But I know it's there's quite a few people going. Yeah. I can't say the exact names, but there's quite a few going. I think they've had a few before. The last one had quite a big turnout.
Roxanne is going. Do you know Karen? Is she going yet? No, John Smith isn't, is he? He's still up in Scotland.
I think he's still up in Scotland, but Dave Marsh is going.
Yep.
All right.
Cool.
Get on over there, everybody.
Yeah, I tell you, if I lived in the UK, I would be I'd be going to every meetup, everyone, man.
Everyone.
I've got a car, get down there. It's not far.
Sure.
Yeah.
Not that far. Whatever bus, train.
Flat Earth Dude drives everywhere to go to meetings, don't you, Flat Earth Dude?
Hundreds and hundreds of miles. But I'll go anywhere if it's close. 200 miles. 300? All right, 300 is my limit. No, thank you, Kenny. Martin.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
the pleasure. The honor's been mine.
The energy was great. The conversation was great. I hope to do it again.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat, huge shout out to the chat, man. Those guys were kicking butt today, man. Just great energy, great ideas. If you get a chance, go back and read the chat. It's astonishing chat today. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you to everybody in the chat room. Sometimes I remember to include the chat room, and today I was a bit more engrossed in the conversation. But thank you so much, everybody in the chat room, and thank you to
remember, people, if you haven't subscribed, now is your opportunity and chance to do so. And I would just like to say thank you, Karen, and thank you, everyone else. It's been a pleasure, as always, and I'll leave it to you, Karen.
I'd like to say thank you, Astral.
Thank you,
Karen. Be quiet. Thank you, Flat Earth Dude, and thank you very much, Martin Kenny.
Thank you for welcoming me to the family.
Yeah, in the family. Yeah, I like that very much. Anyway, it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening from us, wherever you are on this flat plane. We'll be back on Monday. Anyway, goodbye from us. Bye, everybody.